and like
Yeah.
start going.
Yeah.
And it's like, nah, fam, we're gonna make this more difficult than it has to be.
We should be going. Should be. Yeah, we're good to go. Yeah, that's fine. Let me make sure our audio is kind of low.
Audio.
I don't know why that is.
Hello.
Hello, it's me. We have no people watching right now, so let's shoot this out on the tweets, the Twitter sphere.
Twiters.
Oops. You mind shutting that?
Oh, that's close.
Yeah, just
Can't let Granto.
don't let him out.
Can't let him have a sense of freedom as I spill cat water everywhere.
Yeah, that's okay. There's always, that's fine. There's
Pee,
always,
right?
yeah.
Oh, and I broke it. Nope, there's the dice stuck.
Yeah.
Nobody got shot.
So one person's watching.
Oh, wow, I like really chipped like the crap out of their knives.
Holy yeah.
Just
Whatever. That was one of my bad dice. So.
Yeah, so I think I only rolled like 7 on this.
Yeah. Let me get this out on the.
Hey, are you watching?
On the Twitters.
Are we watching ourselves?
No, this is someone else. Let me make sure all of our sound is good.
30 seconds later, though, homie.
Our sound might be good. Let's see.
All of our sound is good. 30 seconds later, though, homie. Let him do the crap.
More like 15 seconds.
What?
The delay.
Oh, yeah, I have the latency set to like 10.
Oh, 10 minutes.
And then I'm gonna check myself, the Dragon's Horde, make sure we're good, because we don't ever do this.
It's like once every 3 months.
Yeah. Make sure we're good, because we don't ever do this. Yeah. Yeah, we're good to go. I keep on saying let's put this out on Twitter, and then I don't do it. Let's share it on the Twitter sphere.
You know, I always forget Twitter's like an actual website that I can just like log into from the computer.
Did I tweet it? Did I do
You
it?
Reddited it today.
I did Reddit it today.
Wow, I've got 1,600 tweets.
You've done it. And then we'll see if there's. I think John Cage was planning on watching. We got 2 people. That might be me, though. I'm gonna shout us out on Facebook too, cause the Facebook boys are all the boys.
I guess I could tag India hockey.
Yeah. Okay.
I was typing the Hordecast, and then I actually hit C.
We are live.
And it went to India's national hockey team.
There you go.
Country of India, if we're calling you out.
Oh, we lost somebody. That was probably me.
High-level games. Anybody else? Forecast Wendy's. We'll type Wendy's. And at Wendy's corporate official. Is that what the one guy that is?
No, he's at Frosty Fan. Kirk Haynes. I shouldn't know that. Who else do I need to put this? I think just the Twitter to the Twitterverse.
Okay. What's the link? I'll just type it out.
YouTube. Yo, no, UTU. YOUTU.
.b.
Yeah. /0 JFK. Oh, JFFK. G. Oh, sorry. 6G.
6G.
Underscore. KO.
KO.
That should be us.
Okay. Let me do the thing.
Yeah, you can do the thing.
Okay. Oh, the thing's done.
Alright. And we got It's one person still,
Hey.
which is fine. Which is more than I expected.
Last time we had one person, but now we get to two.
I'm gonna retweet, and I'm gonna make sure this link works. Video not found.
Oh, we didn't do it. Oh, you can't edit tweets either.
Nope.
I'll delete it and we'll try again.
How about you just retweet what I tweeted?
That makes more sense. Episode 50 Streamtacular?
Yep.
There we go.
That was it. I mean, that's still...
Oh, it's the capitals, I think, that matter.
It's...
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a hyperlink.
Oh. Okay. So for this, I guess I could... I'm going to get started on this end, and then we'll do what we normally do with that. Liked by Foster Green. Wow. We have one person listening right now, and then we're going to get the show started here in a second. But if you want to make yourself known, if you have any questions, comments, or stories, you can feel free to...
I have officially memorized our hyperlink too.
That's real terrifying.
I've typed it so many times.
I'm going to get you in frame a little bit better, buddy.
Hey.
If you would like to ask any questions or comment, one person watching, you feel free to do that. And,
You're our top priority at this moment.
Yep, you are only priority. Yeah, feel free, and we're hoping a couple more, maybe a couple more people come on that will want to talk, because that's basically going to be this episode. Hopefully, it may not. Depends on...
Reddit D&D no longer exists. Sorry, search failed. Our search machines are under too much load to handle your request. Well.
Oh.
Reddit.
I got a Walgreens email that we can read.
Here we go, let's do it.
John Cage, subscribe to you on YouTube.
Hey. Is that our first subscriber?
No.
Oh.
New.
I don't know anything about the Dragon's Lair.
Oh. Well. Champions.
Search failed again.
We are live.
Alright.
Tweet. At least I didn't say the word love streaming. That was a real goof on my part.
We did love streaming though.
Yeah, I like it more when there's more people watching.
That's alright. Gotta appreciate what we got, man.
Alright. Let's get things.
Rockin' and rolling.
Jeff Kramer retweeted. We are live.
Hey.
I don't know if he's watching.
But he wants other people to know.
I don't know. We will see. I guess I could put the hyperlink in my reply. It seems like a ton more.
This is sexy.
Copy link. Holy cow.
This is slow. This is seductive.
Yeah, that's real good.
Oh, yeah, that guy, he said if we come up, the kid on my team, he said if we come up with some verbal prompts for him to draw,
yeah,
he will do his best to do it. And then I was going to send him the picture of, like, just the style that is the logo.
Yeah.
If you can do it in this style.
Oh, okay.
Like sharper edges, and it's not exactly, like, cartoons.
Yeah.
But it's, like, I don't know, just that kind of style.
Yeah. It's minimal, but not, like you said, it's not a cartoon. Yeah, we're gonna get on Reddit. We're gonna get these questions going, and then kind of have another chat, because we liked doing that last time, whoever's watching right now.
I was going to shout out to the last couple people who messaged us back.
Oh, I didn't know that other people talk to us. You haven't told me. Things happen. I think I have a couple in my back catalog too that we can get out of the way.
Sweet.
Or not back catalog, just questions.
Alright. I was trying to practice the ambassador's voice on the way over here, and I realized I'm the worst person at accents. And also, I was like, you know what? This is going to give me cause for this to be a relaxed episode.
Yeah, there you go.
Do the accent today. Could never do it originally, but... Alright. So is this it? We going?
Yeah, I guess we're going.
Alright.
For right now.
Well,
this
first
seems
off,
to be our usual audience.
if you didn't already know, we started.
We have started.
Cool. I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of the Redditors who we've messaged. Let them know we talked about their question on our episodes. Shout out to Sparrowhawk92. He messaged us back, I think within an hour of me sending the message out. And saying, I'll read him verbatim. Like, whoa, this is awesome. I'm super honored, and I'll be glad to check it out. Has the episode itself been posted yet? Which that is a very frequent question we get. And no, usually it takes about 2 weeks due to our back catalog, because we get questions from Reddit from that day which we record, and it takes about 2 weeks for it to get out. But after those 2 weeks passed, he was, I believe, one of the first, if not the first person to message us after he listened to the episode. He said, "Hey there, I just wanted to let you know that I listened to your podcast and love the direction that you took with the Rope Dragon inquiry. I'll be sure to let you know how it turns out once my players engage with it. Thank you." And that's kind of stuff that we love to hear. That not only that you respond and acknowledge that we try to answer your question and try and figure out which episode it's on so you can give it a listen to. But to also, once you listen to it, let us know what you thought about it through email, or like this guy did, just messaging me back on Reddit. So that's awesome. I want to give a shout out to that guy, as well as the very loved, or as soon as I can find it, our computerized friend, Mr. Jevons 1221.
My favorite boy.
Well, he said, thank you for the shout. I'll definitely check it out. Do you know which episode that covered this topic? I would love to listen to that one first. And like I said, question we get a lot. I answered this question, and
every time.
And he has since listened to our episode, and he's told me that he's going to leave us a review. So shout out to that guy. Shout out to Jevons 1221. Not only did Andrew save your life in the very loose narrative that is our show, but
we're talking about a narrative now.
Thank you for the review, pending its publication.
Well, we'll see. Since we're talking about reviews, let's see if there's any new, very friendly people that have reviewed us. If it'll ever load. I don't know why that's happening. Technology.
You gotta hate it.
See all ratings and reviews. Nope, still 10.
Still 10?
So,
well, we're still waiting.
Maybe hasn't gotten more.
But we're eagerly waiting.
Are we? I'm not waiting. So I guess we'll just keep on going with this, and maybe answer some questions, and then go on if anyone else jumps on board.
Yeah. I got a question for you.
Okay.
It's from the World Building subreddit, which I've started to peruse more and more dearly, because I like a lot of the questions on there. This is one that, as a world builder, I guess, in the back of your mind, you think that, oh yeah, this is definitely something that can happen, but whether or not it shows up is another thing. And it's, what is the most dangerous natural occurrence in your world, / like weather and like natural disaster kind of stuff that's happened? Whether or not it shows up. And that's just one thing I've thought about. It's, I don't know, have we faced like a natural disaster in any of the campaigns that you've run? I don't, off the top of my head, I don't think we have, and that's something that obviously can play a role if you have just like a weird, like layout of the world and just different like hemispheres and how that kind of stuff works. But not only that, but then to kind of add on to it a little bit, have you thought of using natural disasters and then shied away from it for more, I guess, actual villain kind of stuff? Or
yeah, I like a character-driven story more than which, if you want to get very literary, a lot of times nature is a proxy for another character. It is sort of the avatar of an idea. But that's a little too literary for my taste in games. So, no, we haven't had a natural disaster, but we've had. I would much rather have like harsh weather conditions as opposed to like what we would define as like a natural disaster,
like flooding or earthquakes.
Yeah, flooding is that's. I feel like there's a lot of stuff you can do with that. Earthquakes is it's just honestly like the ground just kind of shakes. So it's I feel like there's not a lot to do. Okay, but we have a big problem with earthquakes now in like the 21st century because we have like these huge 1,000-foot buildings that can come toppling down on people. But in ye olde whatever, your castle might fall over. But I also don't try and be in the same place for very long. Like I don't keep my players stagnant. So there's that. But then also, like, natural disasters, like a twister, that just becomes, like, I can just see that turning into a chase scene, or my player's not doing anything. My player's just, like, finding a ditch and then just waiting.
You're right.
Or even, like, a hurricane, just finding a safe place and waiting it out, like you're supposed to do. Players will get very smart in those instances, and so I'd rather have these passive environmental conditions that you can't just wait out.
You have to work through them. Yeah, you have to work with them or work through them, like you said. You can work with the cold sometimes to your advantage, especially if you're fighting an enemy. So like you can work. They're on the same playing field as you, so you can use the harsh conditions that you're under to help them. And I was kind of exploring a condition that I kind of homebrewed. It was like a magical frostbite. We didn't get too deep into that like encounter because it seems like we're pivoting onto newer, like different role-playing engines now. But I think environmental conditions are really, really nice set dressings, and they're important to have and pepper in. It seasons a game, but I feel like natural disasters just kind of, they turn to showstoppers, literal, like, showstoppers. It seems like most of the time in all of these encounters that I'm thinking of, apart from, like, a flood, the players will just hunker down. And, and I could be like, oh no, someone's caught out of it, you gotta go rescue them. But then, like, I feel like they're either gonna be like, okay, I'll go help them, and then it's windy. And I don't know. Maybe that's just not really my natural disaster thing. Isn't disasters are fun, but natural disasters I could do something with a forest fire. I've thought about doing a forest fire thing and turning that into like a chase sequence. But anytime I think about natural disasters, I think of like, how can I get through them fast? Because I don't want to do them. So you'd rather have like a goblin horde trying to tear down a dam that would cause a flood instead of
rather than the flood. Yeah, I see.
Tsunami.
Yeah, tsunami. Crashing down because it takes away some agencies from the player. So I would do a tsunami if it was like we talk about Avatar. If it was like the avatar of a water demigod or something like that, I would totally do that because then there's agency. Players can appease or supplicate. We talked about the lava flow thing, and turning that into a jungle gem, and that's why I don't do natural disasters. As of from your experience with me, not at all, because I always try and turn them into something. I try and it's like, okay, we'll do a natural disaster, but let's make it fun, and I don't want to have to come to the point. I don't want to start from the point, I guess, of this thing's not fun. How do I make it fun? Right. I'd rather be like, this thing is fun, now how do I turn that into a game that you guys can actually play.
Right. Yeah, you hinted on it. I was thinking about this question, and it was, I guess, the only way that personally I would probably implement it would be something like you have like a demigod or you have a god who like they harness the power of like wind or water, whatever it is, and they're using it that you have to like sort of appease them or end up fighting them, and you have to deal with the god, not the actual like weather. I mean, it's something like so you have to work through it, and you have to get to the thing causing it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it again, like, it's all about player agency, and I think that's more fun than having just like something to punish my players with, basically. So, which I don't know. I always feel like that's what natural disasters are. They're just kind of this weird punishment. I got one. I got a question. It's in my back thing. Well, first of all, let's talk about meth real quick.
Okay.
Look at this, like, some people would, semi-attractive, maybe not my cup of tea, but relatively whatever. She's pretty, I guess. That's, like, the same person. And they are the wife of someone that I work with. Well, not the wife, the baby mama of someone that I work with.
Serious?
This is a year and a half apart.
Don't do drugs, kids.
It's holy, just,
God.
Everything about it is terrifying. Alright, enough of that. On to question time. I'm finding it. Oh.
I got a shameless plug opportunity.
Okay, hey, there you go. Before you shamelessly plug our podcast, this is a kind of an older one, so whatever. I want to clean this one out. This is the celebrated Mark, and he is building a city for a D&D campaign, and it's torn in two, with one part separated from the other part by a deep canyon surrounded by the sea. I don't want my players to be able to access it for a while, but worry about someone like casting fly and ruining everything. And he wants to know, and he wants to create like a out of boundaries area. But if you know that if he says it's off boundaries, the first thing they're going to do,
wall.
He wants to make an invisible wall without it being cheesy like an invisible wall. How do you, as a player?
So what was it again? He's trying to hide as a base.
Okay, it is a city.
A city
that has been torn in two.
Okay.
And it is separated by a deep canyon. And I guess that canyon is also surrounded by a sea. Or maybe the cities are surrounded. It says, it is torn in two, with one part separated from the other by a deep canyon and surrounded by the sea.
Okay, so it's like, maybe not the sea, but it's like a lake, city in the middle has been split in half.
I guess so.
Okay.
He has some dangling participles. How do you create... This is a question that I don't even really have a satisfying answer for, because it's hard.
Yeah.
Creating a fence. He wants a fence up without drawing attention to the fence and without drawing attention to the thing on the other side.
Right. Well, first off, you don't make something that presents a challenge for the players to get over. You don't put a 10,000-foot high hedge, because then your players are like, "Hey, what's behind that hedge?"
Yeah.
Or you don't put the Great Wall of China, because hey, what's on the other side of that wall? I feel like you try and just off-play it as much as you can, and you try and just steer the story the other direction.
Yeah.
Like, you give them some urgency to be in a place far from there, maybe, or if they're, if depending on, like, he didn't give any examples of what the campaign's going.
No, none of that.
So, make their objectives not that direction. Like, literally just make their objectives for their campaign that way. And, players are still going to do what they want.
Yeah.
If they see something shiny on accident, if you use the wrong adjective to describe something in that direction and they go for it, then I guess that's on you. But, yeah, the best way without... You can't bring it and draw attention to it. If it's something that you really don't want to happen, you don't draw attention to it. It's got to be just like, oh, there's some hills and like this, I don't know, like a mountain. And then the other way is like, oh, there's some cities, there's a large stream and river, there's a lot of vibrance over here, and then just, I guess, off-play it.
Yeah.
But even then, sometimes your players will try and, like, play chess with you and be like, oh, he's not. He's describing this other thing with much grandeur, and this
Yeah.
other thing is like
It's
a
because
brick.
it's so boring. It might just be exciting. Yeah, like that kind of. It's masked. They'll see a mask. I don't know. I think that's what I would do. I think that I would see that if I was a player. I'd be like, he's downplaying that so much. There's got to be something cool in there. Like, you know, I mean, it's real subtle the way that people, like, players will pick up on that sometimes, but, what I've always, you know, a wall is as easy as, you know, climbing it, like you said, and an ocean is as easy as crossing it with a boat. So, you know, players will go over hill and high water to get, I mean, the dumbest thing. You could say there's a absolutely delicious sandwich, and they have to travel, like, halfway across the world to get it, and I bet, like, 1 out of every 20 players, maybe that's even being a little too, like, conservative, maybe, like, 2 out of every 15 players would do, like, okay, sounds like fun, that sounds like a good idea, like, we gotta go on all these adventures to get the sandwich.
I feel like a prime example would be your party who cared so much about that just guy that you wanted the story.
Joe Schmo.
Yeah, Joe Schmo, like, he is Joe Schmo, he's nothing, but to them he was everything. Yeah. So just try and avoid giving your players that opportunity of doing that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, but on the other side of things, you know, your players, they're going to think like a certain way, especially if they're good RPers. Make a lot of their RP-based stuff just, you know, in other cities and other towns.
Yeah.
Don't hint at things. Don't, like, oh, I'm gonna hint at it. I'm gonna play like this little game with myself. Or like, don't do that. Definitely don't do anything like that.
Instead of thinking of reasons to not cross the canyon or the ocean, give them reason. Instead of saying, I'm going to give them reasons to not go, reword that into, I'm going to give them reasons to stay. Because then you'll constantly be hinting back at this place that you don't want them to go, and they'll pick up on that. The other thing that I thought may be a, like, viable option is turning it into an encounter that it's like you can go, you're just not ready for it yet, without saying that.
Right.
In that, like, maybe there's some type of, like, aquatic. If this is like an ocean, you can do like an aquatic thing that is lurking in the middle there, or if it's like a canyon, you can do something very similar, like some monster, and then just have them, like, beat them down, and without, you know, you're showing, you're not telling. You know, you have them beat them down, then they retreat. And then maybe whenever you are ready for them to cross over, you have some guy, like, and this also provides NPC, like, opportunities. You know, you have maybe like a monster hunter. You know, he comes in and he's got this big thing on a cart and he's parading it through town. So that also signals, hey, it's safe to go through because this guy just killed it. But also now you have another, like, kind of, you have an NPC with hooks in him. Like, you know, they want to be, because, you know, he succeeded where they couldn't.
Right.
And he can be, you know, there's a lot of different ways you can pull that. That's where I'm thinking whenever I try and get a ball rolling on an idea like this. How many, like, hooks can I put into things, especially to set me up for later on? Because if I need a really, like, you know, a really beefy NPC to show up later on in the campaign, I can just do a callback and get that guy out there. So you get all these arrows in your quiver that you can pull out if you are thinking like that. But if you just put a wall, then you're just kind of turning, and you're kind of just having like a West Berlin, East Berlin sort of story narrative, which I guess can be compelling, but it doesn't lend itself too well to a fantasy genre, I guess. I don't know. It seems kind of melodramatic to just put up a big wall. It turns in, like, a Romeo and Juliet story, and they don't know Juliet's on the other side. And Juliet may not be on the other side. Like, it could just be, like, a scorched wayscape, which would be good for you.
Yeah, I would love that.
You had something that you wanted to do in your show?
Cavalieri.
Yeah.
He's got a predicament here. I think we can help him out very much so. What are your favorite RPG storytelling podcasts right now? I've been out of the loop. What's fun?
I don't know. Can we do something? This one's real good.
Yeah.
This
enjoy it.
This one's good. You can tell him that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I will.
there's some other. I mean, I listen to a lot of Drunks and Dragons is a really fun one. This isn't a D&D thing, but it's in the same vein. And it's something that I binged basically their entire catalog in 3 or 4 days. And it's extensive. Hello from the Magic Tavern is about a guy that, if I can remember right, because I haven't listened to him in a while, he fell inside of a portal that took him to a D&D world, a fantasy world, and it's behind the dumpster of an Arby's or something like that.
Oh, yeah?
Like, he fell into this portal, and he has enough, he just so happened to drop into the one place in this entire world with Wi-Fi, and it's this tavern, and that's how he, transmits the podcast. So it's all, in-universe, and, he has 2 co-hosts. He has a shape-shifting badger as a co-host named Chunt, and then he has a wizard, is it Gasmoinus Maystar? I think it's Gasmoinus, no, wizard, because he has this monologue that he does every single time he introduces himself, this wizard, and he has in the elves call me Hoovistanges, and the dwarves call me Gasmoinus Maystar, and but you can call me something, and I can't remember anyway, he's a wizard, and it's really funny, and it's really D&D-y, and they have little, they'll talk about little adventures that they went on, and they'll have, guests come on of different fantasy races, and so, honestly, that and the Adventure Zone are probably, you haven't listened to the Adventure Zone. You should really, really listen. They just finished their, they had a 3-year arc they did, and it is, they finished it, and now they're starting to do different role-playing engines, so they're doing, these 3-episode long little, mini campaigns featuring these different engines, and, I think out of all of the role-playing things that are happening now, there's a couple old, Nerd Poker was an old one hosted by Dan Harmon, the guy who made Rick and Morty, oh, is that Dan Harmon? No, that's, Harmon Quest. He did Harmon Quest. Harmon Quest is a good one, too. Is that him? Is Nerd Poker Dan Harmon? I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but it was real good. But I think the Adventure Zone is probably the most compelling. It has this huge, Griffin McElroy. He was on Forbes, 30 under 30 media luminary. He's real big. He made the company Polygon, which has really risen to the top of a lot of gaming platforms. I'm gonna just stare directly into the camera. It's real good. The Adventure Zone. I would say the Adventure Zone is probably a really good one. And our show. I wouldn't say it's good, but it's definitely a fun place for yucks. And sometimes we answer questions. Sometimes we also get people watching, but not this time. Not this time.
Maybe if we go to Wendy's.
Maybe go to Wendy's. We have one person. Let's see if there's maybe something going on. Something wrong. Tweets. Looking at tweets. We are really live streaming. At John. This is sad. John Cage. At Jeff Kramer. At
just tagging all these guys.
Yeah, I'm like, hey, listen up, buddy. At Don Forgecast. At Fat Hobbit. Oh, I just tagged ourselves. I just added ourselves. Exploding dice. At. We still have one person. I don't know if that's real or if that's wrong. Benjamin Watunsky. I'm sure I'll tweet him too. Okay. So let me, this editing is going to be real weird for this one. It's not quite a, Not quite. Okay, I have another question for you, my friend.
I'm ready.
You are typing out a lot of things. What are you doing?
Messaging the guy.
Oh, you're messaging him. Oh, I didn't know what you're doing.
Real time.
Yeah.
Messages from Foster Grant.
This is we can take this so many different ways. It's by Mick Doofloof Flurf. Mick Doofloof. And he just wants to know. He wants his players to roleplay more. He wants them to feel immersed in this world and to talk as if they were their characters. Not really concerned about voice acting or that sort of thing. Just, use eyes, knees, minds instead of
Scott Sterling steps into the
Yeah, it's more like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna slay the beast. How do you encourage role-playing more?
I think something that you do a really good job of is allowing your characters to, kind of edit the world around them. Let them add things to the world. The Call of Cthulhu one-shot that we're about to take part of, we've got 2 brand new role players going to be joining me and Andrew in this adventure. And one thing that really, I feel like, helped them just kind of dive in to their characters and really role play, and really kind of give our group, a sense of, being together, as is with, Call of Cthulhu investigators, but was just telling them, like, hey, so this is your setting, this is your city, now feel free to tell me, like, specifics of, like, where your character is, or where they grew up, or what their connection to this area is, or if they don't have a connection to this area, name some streets, name some bars, name some, things around it. That way you're, it's not just character knowledge anymore. It's actually player knowledge of where they're going. So if they walk in, I'm walking down like Illinois Street in Pine Shade. I'm headed towards the Privateer. Like, those are all things that I was able to add to this world that now my character is able to actually say. It's not just character knowledge where he knows where he's going. I can actually, as a player, in my character, give specifics, give addresses, and that kind of stuff. So allowing your players to, edit the world around them a little bit really lets them, like, sink their hooks into it and lets them really kind of get into it. Because one thing, especially the first time I was role-playing, the first couple times, the only thing for me to role-play was my guy was quiet, mysterious, and didn't like being around a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it turned into more, but, at the beginning, it was like, I didn't know what things were called, I didn't know where I was, I didn't know the names of stuff. And so it took me a while, but once you're the actual players, especially if you give them a head start on that by allowing them to, like we said, name some stuff, then they already have that, well, they can speak as their character because they actually know the names, they actually know the places. And I feel like that's a huge gap that if you can help them bridge, is going to allow them to RP just tremendously.
Yeah, and when we were just kind of talking about this before the show started, people are sometimes real spooked to do that because they don't want to sound stupid. Like, they don't want to wind up you being like, oh, what's your familiar's name? Which I feel like that's kind of easy, but just whatever, that's an example.
What's the name of your adventuring group? Like,
yeah, what's your name of your party? What's the name of this, like, thing that you're... And they don't want to come off... you mentioned, like, Snake Monster. They don't want to say something that's dumb, and they're scared that they'll sound dumb, and then they'll look like they don't play well, and then blah, 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 blah. They'll be discouraged. But you have to set up a reward system for people that aren't used to role-playing in this way, because... Like, they don't know when they're doing a good job. They don't know when they're doing... And whenever I was kind of a green DM, I would... Afterwards, I'd be like... After the game was done, I'd be like, hey, that was a great roleplay. That was really, really good. And they're just like, okay, I didn't even know I was doing, like, well during the... Like, I didn't even know I was playing the game well. And I was like, yo, no, you did great. Like, I was really impressed. And turning that into mechanically something that... rewards them in game besides their DM just being like, hey, good job afterwards. Someone suggested in the comments setting up a experience, like an XP gaining system for I kind of I do that with Divine Favor. I let you guys reroll a d20. If you do something really well, you get a little token, a little gem, a little plastic gem, and then you can turn that back in if you want to reroll any d20 roll. Which our history with that has not proven for that to be very useful. I feel like normally you guys roll worse or like the same.
Yeah.
But it's a chance. But setting up reward systems for players are really important, especially if they're newer. And you say not character voices, but I really like encouraging character voices, even if they're bad, because the thing is, it's not real. So if they don't have a convincing Scottish accent, it doesn't matter, because the Scots don't exist in, your world of Catharga. There's no Scots in Catharga. So
strictly Wales.
Just Wales people, which makes it real hard to communicate. It's very long. It's like the Int language. So role-playing better, it's really tailored to your party, but giving them experience is not... The thing is, also, that's weird for me, too, because I shy away from experience, because I let you guys level up whenever I want you to level up. Like, we finish this adventure, or we finish a beat in this adventure, and then you guys get more things. Because that way, you guys know... Everyone's kind of on the same page whenever it comes to leveling up. And normally it's after an adventure. If it's a long arc that I'm doing, sometimes one, sometimes two, but there are markers that I try and give you guys, be like, okay, we're going to level up here soon. So you guys come to the table with something new, and I already have that planned out for you guys to be a little bit stronger. Whereas with experience, if this person kills this monster, and then that person kills that monster, how do you divvy up experience for killing a monster? If two people attacked it, do you cut that experience in half? Some people would say yeah. But what if that one person one of those two people that attacked it, they only did 1 damage, but another person, he wound up taking 50 damage and he killed the monster. Like, he took 50, almost died, and then killed it, and the other person didn't take any damage, and they just hit it for 1 HP. So, do you divvy up, percentage-wise, the percentage of health they took, but then you gotta keep track of all the health that they took, and it's, I'd rather just be like, nope, everyone's gonna level up now. We haven't encountered it, but there are, you can have effects that take away levels from your players, they remove levels from you, and, I wouldn't go that route as far as, that would be, roleplay, or I'm going to take away your levels. But I'd be I'll be, if you want to do that, you can, find, items that people think are cool. If they roleplay well, maybe they find a cool, set of armor, or they find something. Give them a little, if they do something you want, give them a little puppy treat. Just, give them a little something just to make them feel better. That sounds super patronizing, but, give them something. They deserve it. I mean, that's what they're playing the game for, is to be, to be rewarded, I guess. It's to play the game, the game's not fun if you're constantly being punished.
Right. So, yeah, it kind of lends back to that first question about the city you're trying to hide. Don't give them a reason to not RP badly. Give them a reason to RP well.
Yeah, don't... positive reinforcement always kind of... It winds up being a little bit more motivating than negative reinforcement. It just... That never really works with players, because then they just get frustrated. And players will do anything to get frustrated. I got some questions from just the old my brain.
Okay.
And we can chat a little bit. I really don't know if anybody's watching. It says one person is, but I don't even know if they really exist. I don't know if I can tell either who it is. No, I'm not going to bother with it. We are live. So, hopefully. And we're still recording. We're about to start. We're going to do a kind of a role-play gauntlet. Wherein we're going to play Call of Cthulhu for probably 10 hours. It's going to be all day. We haven't really established what time we want to start.
Oh yeah, I talked to them, and I think we're aiming for 11:30 or
okay.
noon start.
Okay.
Because Birdie's second shift, so he gets off Friday night. Like 12:30.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Okay. Enough about timelines. Let's talk about. Let's. Do you have any questions about this game? That's my first question. Do you have any questions, concerns? You feel like maybe you don't understand.
I have a few
besides those percentages, because nobody understands those. That's gonna be our biggest thing: is people not getting like where percentages go.
I tried to explain to them how a D100 roll works. Like, you want to go low, you want to be underneath the score that you have.
Unless you roll double zeros,
then that's real bad.
That's the worst.
100%.
Yeah, that's
not 0%.
No, not 0.
Oh man. Let me think.
Question, story. You said you had a story. You had some things.
Yeah, I want to know, because we obviously we formed a drug ring.
Yeah.
That is our character's unifying feature, our collectiveness. When it comes to, because you said you kind of had thought about that, how we could do something like that. When it comes to planning how you're going to, because one, like we've talked about it, it's a mix of like a little dredge and a little RPG, like regular RPG D&D or Pathfinder, in that you're dealing with something and you're trying to stop it, but you don't really know how, and you're not really prepared to do either.
Yeah.
Like, it is very, like, it's set in 2010, so it's like modern day, and so it's like, how is a group, like 3 different tiers of a drug organization going to find themselves like, obviously we're going to find out Saturday, so don't.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me nothing. Whatever.
But like, when you go about, like, how do you decide, like, what, like, how does it get from, like, we have an insane asylum and a drug group, how does it get from that to, like, cultists summoning like an elder god? You know what I mean? Like,
okay. I can kind of answer this
question. I'm not trying to...
No, I can't. If I couldn't answer this question, I would have just told you I can't answer that. No, and this is the thing that I thought of, too, is because I wanted to leave that up to you guys to come up with that connective feature. I put some suggestions.
Yeah, we could have been like a book study group or a book reading group.
Yeah. I did, like, they were it was a book club. There's a book club. There was, like, a paranormal investigation group, kind of like a kitschy...
Like, we all read sci-fi books together and we talk about our ghost experiences.
Yeah. And, sometimes you might go out to a cemetery with, like, a Ouija board.
Right.
Or, I did, like, an example was, like, a cafe, like, the cafeteria regulars. Like, people that go to a diner.
Bar or something.
Yeah, or something like that. And it's just the people, you're the 3 stools that, they already have your Milwaukee's Best, like, in front of on the table before you even walk in the door. But then those would have been really, I put those on there because those are real easy low balls for me. And it would be easier, it is easier, not that it's better, it would just be easier for me to weave that into the story that I have kind of already loosely established. Now that I know your group, I can kind of solidify some things, especially now that I know your characters, because you guys really kind of, I thought I'd get them in a little bit sooner, but it's okay. I threw things at you the last time you DM'd, so this is fine. So how do I answer this and then not? Okay, so you guys are the story is already kind of there, and I'm gonna I'll say now, I'm not doing a whole insane asylum thing. It's not gonna be that.
I was just throwing that out.
Yeah, but there is the Seacrest Asylum, and I've played with that idea before. Probably my second best drug game I ever ran was my first one, and that took place in that place. And then I had another one that really was just awful, and it took place also kind of in that place. But that's sort of it's just a backdrop. It's also just kind of set dressing. But we have these 2 towns that are kind of disparate, but they're very similar. You have Seacrest, which is... it had this asylum on it. It's kind of conveyed to be a little bit more established. It's a little bit more suburbia. It's in New Hampshire. It's kind of cold. Think honestly in my brain, it's very South Parky. It's very just like, houses, cookie cutter like middle class houses, and then there's like a school, and then it's very like it's kind of placid in that way, and they have like a botanical garden that was an old church, and they have some of these like not really touristy places, but things that make we talk about making towns unique and stuff. Yeah. They have those, and then we have Pine Shade, which is this. It was built off of hikers and skiers and stuff, just kind of camping there, and then that turned into loggers would go there, and then a town sprung up from that way back when. And they just kind of, the two towns don't really like each other, but they intersect in all these different ways. And I am going to play with the idea of connection. The idea of... I was really inspired by Hideo Kojima. He's a game developer and just an extremely creative storyteller. Just fantastic at telling very complex narrative stories, but keeping like these nice cohesive threads through all of them. And theming, he's just like this artist with theming. And I take a lot of inspiration from him, but he had this, he mentioned this idea, which was a quote from somebody else, that he said, in games, you have basically two overarching themes that you will always, there are these two boxes that every other theme falls under in gaming, in interactive mediums. So you have this box that he calls the stick, and the box that he calls the rope. And the stick is used to keep things away, to distance yourself from something, and that is like the gun is an example of a stick. It is meant to distance yourself. It's meant to kill, it's meant to harm, it's meant to turn the agent, the player, into this island that is by itself. It keeps things, kills this thing. That thing is distanced from itself. The sword, obviously, that's sort of like a stick. But there's other ways to theme that. Aggression, that kind of whatever. Keeping things at arm's length, that's a stick. But, the rope, which is used to bind, it's used to connect things. It can be used to harm, but also, to kill someone with a rope, you gotta get right up on them. And, like, those ideas of connection, of binding, of sticking things. And I like that idea because so much of D&D is a very stick mentality. It is very like, I'm gonna kill that thing with a sword. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna stab it. There's this bad wizard. We gotta go get the bad wizard and stuff. But we never really like explore the idea of like what happens whenever maybe the best idea when having a stick mentality is not just discouraged. It is can be really detrimental to you, distancing yourself. And the best thing, but potentially also a very risky thing, is keeping things really close. So I'm playing with the idea of like keeping enemies close. Okay. And that is going to with some hopefully some narrative tricks I can I want to wiggle you guys together so you guys can work together. But there may be big portions of the game where you guys aren't in you're not working together, you're not really in conjunction, things aren't, and that's fine.
Yeah,
there'll be a couple times where you guys may be working against each other and not even know it.
We were all together when we kind of hatched out the characters. One of the newer RP guys, he threw our, which I was really impressed by, he threw the idea of us being this, like, subversive, just, like, we're not a benefit to the society. We are, like, we're drug dealers. Like, my character is the guy on the street slinging. Yeah. And then his character was the Capone style middleman, and then our third guy, he's like the guy who's up top, like an executive level. He's making sure that product gets stored. He's making sure that the money keeps flowing in. He's making sure that we're able to continue to prey on these towns. Like that's his level. And so, and I was thinking about the other night as I was really, because the character, like, shout out to like Britain's Got Talent, or maybe it was America's Got Talent. I watched a bunch of episodes of, well, not episodes, but like little things of the Tokyo was the artist. He's real tall, black guy, dreads, and he's just a beautiful musician. He plays the piano like nobody's business, and he doesn't look the part like at all.
Yeah.
He goes up. It looks like he's about to like drop some bars, and he just delicately and just emotionally plays this piano. And I was like, man, like that kind of. I was like, man, okay, so that's what I was trying to kind of base my character around, was someone who doesn't look the part. So my character is someone who has grown up, streets, poor, and he's this hard, like, gangster guy, but the real side of him is just this love for just classical music and this love to express his emotions and everything he doesn't have through, playing the keys. And so I was like, what is that character going to have anything to do with, James's character? And what is that going to have anything to do with, Birdie's character? Like, how are these going to, like, be able to coincide? And I guess it's also, as part of every just, like, basic Pathfinder and D&D for the GM to figure out how these people can kind of go together. But like I said, I feel like it might be more difficult in, like, a modern-day setting where, I guess as a fantasy thing, I don't personally know what a ninja would do. We don't know what a rogue or a ranger, like, we have these examples, but, personally we don't. But, through my own experiences in life, I might know what someone living in a ghetto might think. That selfish nature. I thought you'd be able to better, play to that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think, you mentioned, how do you go from, like, a town with, like, just like a town to where you're summoning star spawns, and they're showing up and wreaking havoc. And that is a good question, but it's also sort of its own answer, because by the very nature of, like, Lovecraftian cosmicism, suburbia and the kind of mundane happenings of man are very intimately, but also in a distant way, intertwined with these crazy, like, celestial, evil, malevolent forces. So we get there by stuff that Lovecraft did, and mimicking great writers that wrote in Lovecraft style, and that's lore, and that's mythos, and that's a creeping dread that's underlying in stuff. And because you guys are drug dealers, this is something that I've had to make since I heard that. You're thinking you have to think of, like, antagonists. Sometimes you have to antagonize your players, and if I want to push you guys to do things, a lot of times I'll have to antagonize. Even in D&D, I'll do that to get you guys really going. But drug dealers, especially professional drug dealers, they're businessmen. One of the head honcho guy, he even, like, said, like, the only thing he cares about is money. It's just, business venture. There's a business venture. He says those words. The two things that business people are always scared of is competition and regulation. Always. And in the sense of a drug dealer, their competition is another, like, drug dealer or other people, like, trying to take their territory. And then the regulations, the feds. So it's like, I have, you guys may have these tricksy things up your sleeve too, but I have, like, the entire U.S. government on my side. So I'm not super worried with keeping you guys in line if I have to do that, but I honestly don't think that it will come to that, because you guys are going to be you're going to be preoccupied by, like, Australians that are, like war-torn Australians that got humped by a puma. That's, like, that's someone that you're gonna meet, and, he's a real character. And then, like, a guy, the town drunk, they don't even know his name, they just call him Jose Cuervo, because he always has a bottle of Jose Cuervo. And, like, all these other things that, your hustle, is, like, the drama of the hustle may very well pale in comparison to some of the weirdness that's gonna go on in the town. But that affiliation that you guys made, it says a whole lot more about your character, and that's what it's there for. It's there to, like, give you kind of these broad features. You know, because you know you're gonna be, if you're a drug dealer, you're gonna be a little bit more suspicious of people. You're gonna be a little bit, maybe you're more quick to violence because the stakes are really high. Stuff like that, and that helps me with theming. That helps me get from suburbia to you know, maybe something terrible happening, like cosmically terrible happening. Which I will say that I am not gonna do a save the world kind of thing.
Right.
Potentially, there may be like big implications depending on, but I don't like the idea of like the world hangs in the balance and 3 drug dealers are the only people that can say it. That doesn't really jive with me.
Yeah.
But that is something that Lovecraft almost exclusively wrote with. Academia was always the protagonist in all of his things. It was always the academics or the curious. You know, this guy is he's a sculptor, and he's very interested in like Egyptian relics, and he stumbled across something very curious. Or, you know, this guy, you know, literally the investigator. That's why they call you guys investigators. But the thing is, as drug dealers, I think that there's a fair bit of, you guys may not call it investigation, but I think there's a fair bit of like maybe canvassing and stuff that people in the business do, and you know, they have their dealings, and sometimes they gotta.
Got our networks.
Your network. Sometimes you gotta get your facts straight before you pull a big hustle.
Right.
So there's ways I can do it, and there's ways that I'm sure you guys will stump me on some stuff.
So. That's the joy of always playing with new players and people who are not used to, like, they don't know the tropes of someone, and it's like, they're just gonna do stuff, and probably you be more experienced than me, but like, there'll be stuff where we both are like, wow, I wouldn't have thought of that. Like, it's a whole different angle to look at something, and that's what's fun about bringing new people in. And like this is like the first time I think I'll be playing a character who I see as like aggressive. Like it's very like, if something goes downhill, like usually my characters more so in the past have been like, well, I'm gonna see how it plays out, you know, and then I'll pick a side depending on how it goes. But my guy in this is like, hey, something goes down, this is my livelihood, I gotta step up. Like, I am the authority in this situation, not someone else. And that's
he'll be the first person to pull out like a snub nose.
And I was like, that'll be new for me. That'll be fun. But I like how, like I said, like they kind of came up with this and they ran with it, and I helped them kind of fill in some of the details. But
you picked a great engine to do that with too, is because the Call of Cthulhu engine, as far as like combat goes, the stakes are real high for combat always, whether you're drug dealers or not. The stakes are always, because the margin between life and death is so vastly different than any of the other fantasy role playing games. So it's going to be really interesting to see what it means. I am curious to see how a firefight plays out in this. You know, if one guy shoots another guy, like, I don't know, I've never played that before, so, like that instance before, so I don't know how that'll play out. It usually, Call of Cthulhu is built to the more, just kind of like in real life, the more ruthless person usually winds up on top of a fight, because that's what it takes to survive. If you're willing to shoot someone and they're going to shoot you back, it's not going to come down to who's the most clever, or like who can devise a trap the fastest. It's going to be just like, you know, are you willing to like bite that guy's throat out, like and stuff like that, and so it's fun that you picked an aggressive, kind of, you know, maybe a real hostile character. But do you have any? We talk about like story and stuff like that. As far as like, well, I guess generally, do you have any more questions? Or do you have any like comments on the system itself? Or I know you've been thinking about it. I just didn't know if you thought there was anything worth airing.
Because I really have enjoyed so far the aspect of realizing that everything's just percentages.
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about before, that really just simplifies. Everybody knows what percentage.
It streamlines everything.
Out of 100%, you know, like, oh, if it's 70%, well, you know, if it's 70% likely to fail, you know, well, it's probably not going to happen. Like, you have that kind of understanding, and so that really makes it easier, especially for new people. So like Dread and Call of Cthulhu, get those new people in there. But, you know, I'm excited to get going and ready.
Yeah, I am too. I'm really ready. I'm ready to get going. I crafted a I've done a whole lot. Like, I wrote like 5 or 6 songs for this.
Oh, nice.
I have, and something that I've never done before really is I have an overture for this campaign, this session, to where almost like a musical where they'll have an overture, like the Family Opera, the bum 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 bum. Anytime you hear that sound, those notes, you know to expect something from the Phantom. Like, even if he's not on stage, like, oh, like, he did something here. And I'm kind of doing something very similar to that, where I have like this melody, this 5. This 5-note melody that is in basically all these different songs, and I have those kind of pieced out in between some other songs that you guys are going to hear during the thing, background music, and sometimes you'll be in a shop that'll have just like music playing in the background and stuff. But I've also there's going to be maybe some deciphering, like some puzzles, like real time. You guys will have to like work together potentially and solve like an actual cipher that's like laid out in front of you. That isn't just like, whatever. All this symbol is that it stands for an A, and that symbol stands for. It'll be like an actual. You will have to decrypt things, and I use it was that, which is cool too. That is also because like I will let you guys use your phones for stuff in this. So if you real time, if you guys have your phone on you in game and your character would Google something that you don't know, I will let you guys Google that and like get that information. So it's like if you guys if you see a symbol up on a wall and then you manage to like kind of be descriptive enough in Google and figure out what that symbol means. And you're like, well, I just learned this is from this place, and that's it's a warning because of this thing and stuff like that. But also, like, I smithed a knife for this game. I actually kind of forged a knife for this game. It's sitting in the bookshelf. I'll show it to you. Cut out the handle and stuff for it, and grinded it and hammered it into a knife shape, and put it all together. So needless to say, I'm really excited for this too. I do want to say for people that maybe want to get into Call of Cthulhu, because we're probably on the downhill right now, maybe going to wrap up here soon. If you're interested in getting into Call of Cthulhu, I really recommend reading the Game Master or the Keeper's Guide. It's a little bit bigger, but it's really for a rule book. It's really entertaining. It starts off both the Keeper's Guide and the Investigator's Guide. They both start with the Dunwich Horror. So it is a story that you can read from Lovecraft that he wrote that gets you into the mindset of, like, these are themes you should be looking for. These are, because it is an investigator in that story. I was going to text you guys later on today to, like, you can read that story in one sitting. There's an audiobook set up for free that you can listen to. But, it is an investigator, and it's like, follow his footsteps. He went and he questioned people. He went and he did this. And this is what kept him alive in this story, and you should mimic those. Anyways, Keeper's Guide and the Investigator Guide are great, but Chaosium, the publishing company that published those books, they have a free quick start guide online. It's a PDF. It's 30 pages. 10 of those pages are examples of gameplay. And handouts, like potential handouts you can give to players. Another 2 of those pages are the actual character sheets. Then there's 3 pages that are like the cover page, and then like publishing stuff, and then credits and the appendix and stuff. So it's really like maybe 20 pages, if that, of like actual rules, but it's pretty comprehensive. And there's been a couple times where you come to me for like rule clarification, and I think it's in the book, and it's there. It's like in that quick start guide. I don't know how they managed to reduce like a 400-page book into 20 pages, but they do such a good job. It's really, really intuitive. It's really smart. It's really easy to get into, it's accessible, which is it's harder to say about D&D 5.0. D&D 5.0, there's a lot of resources for it online. sorry, there aren't many resources for it online besides like forums and community groups and stuff like that. You have to pay the money for the books, which is fine because they're trying to make money, but also it's harder for noobs to find it and to tinker with it and play with it. Pathfinder just has so much stuff they can't control it all. It just spills out everywhere. I mean, it's an oil spill that just keeps on draining into the ocean of the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, Call of Cthulhu. It'll be a fun. Maybe I don't think I was thinking about live streaming that, but people don't watch our live streams. Yeah, so I don't think we'll do it. I
wouldn't mind. I've talked with both of them about it. I'm trying to record it. Trying to at least get some audio grabs.
I'll be fine with audio grabs. I'll be cool with that. Whatever, live streaming doesn't seem like that will happen.
Yeah. One more thing on this Call of Cthulhu thing. I wanted to know where your expectation was for James and Birdie as far as their characters, and then like your thoughts after you received their. Because I still haven't got to see their full out character. Like I know the aspects or the ideas of them, but I haven't got the detailed rundown of it. Because Birdie, he's been someone who I think you've RP'd with in the past.
Yeah, we did.
And so
we
he generally does a pretty good job of kind of getting into it. And James, wild card.
Yeah, James is a question mark, and I would encourage them to listen to what Andrew is about to say here, because role-playing games generally are not about winning. And if you're playing to win, you're going to play kind of a losing game, because that's not the point of them. It's like, it'd be like playing poker. You're sitting down in a poker game, and your objective is to get, like, a go fish. And it's like, you're playing a totally different game, dude. Like, that does not make sense. You would be like, go fish, and then roll a flush. It's like, what? That doesn't... winning is not a priority, so my expectations, my expectations are...
Oh, let me clarify.
Yeah.
My question was generally of their characters, what kind of a character they would bring, and then of, like, their what you're expecting for Saturday.
So
your expectations would have been either... You would have got that from their characters, like what you kind of expected from them, and then, I guess, for Saturday,
what I expected them to do. Okay, I was really... kind of gobsmacked with James, with the amount of density within his backstory that he gave me. It was shorter than yours are, but you tend to write you tend to be a little bit more prolific with your backstory. This was kind of short. Scott Sterling's backstory was very long, and Uralki's was pretty long too. This was a little bit more toned down. But his was very dense, and like there's a lot of moving parts to it and ideas that I think flesh out his character in a way that was like very surprising for a new role player. I think that helps that he got some direction from you and Birdie. It seems like that paid off in a really, really nice way. I definitely see it is. I wasn't expecting his player so much, or his character so much, to have like the level of potential that it has right now, which he set himself up like right on this edge towards like he can teeter it in quite a few different ways, and he already has like a pretty nice like chance for good momentum through the whole thing. Role players will hopefully understand what I meant by all that. But then with Birdie, I think honestly for me, maybe not for you because you know Birdie, but for me he's a little bit more of a wild card in my mind, because like he's quiet but he's real perceptive, and his name is Birdie, and he kind of watches stuff like a hawk. Just kind of, he looms, and then he comes up with some funny quip, and he's real funny and real like sharp on stuff. And he's not like, he's a really goofy guy, but he's not like dense. He's real sharp. He's real keen. So I was expecting, I wasn't expecting drug dealers. That was one of the last things on my like things I expected from you guys. But I didn't think drug dealers. I thought it was some type of like gang, just a gang affiliation. But with Birdie, I was actually kind of expecting more of a like an academic type. I was really thinking that he was going to do... I don't know why I had that in my mind, that he was going to do, like, maybe a professor. Like, because I can see him playing that role, or trying to play that role, but I like more of him being, like, grungy. But he's
an executive.
He's, like, the leader of that. But, like, being... I guess that is sort of maybe a little bit more refined than being, like, like a slinger. Like a guy that's, he's dealing. So maybe he did play into a little bit more of my expectation, being more refined out of you. But, I mean, that's like saying, like, he's more refined out of all the drug dealers in our so whatever. And then that's what I was impressed with everyone's backstories. They came back with something that I didn't expect. I had to change some stuff in the story. I had to change some characters and places and ideas that I had to fit maybe a little bit more, some people that, they broke bad and they're okay with doing illegal things. I don't think we have any, if we're going to talk about alignment, no lawful characters in this campaign, and sometimes I bank on that for some of my stories, is that somebody's going to do the right thing, that is within, they're going to color in the lines, but no one's going to do that in this one, and that'll be fun, because Lovecraft is all about chaos, so we'll see where that goes. But also we have things like, every player did I kill things and whatever. But I'm also, like, really good at basketball, and that's important to me. But then it's like, I'm gonna, sling out some coke, and then the piano's really where my heart is. Yeah. It's like, there's a couple of things like that, but then Birdie, his character's just money. Just, like, whatever I can do to get it. So I can see him, like, he doesn't have any family, but whatever. If he did, I can see him on, like, the phone, like, Skype calling with his daughter as he's, like, cutting off someone's toes because they owe him, like, $50. Yeah. Like, garden shears, like, in his shed. Just, like, hold on a minute, honey, like, give me the money! Just go! So I'll be excited to see Birdie play what I'm expecting to be a sociopath. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen. Just this psychopathic... I guess psychopath's not as much.
He does like Dexter.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's what we're going to be seeing from Birdie. I'm very curious to see, one, if he listens to this, and two, if that's what he was planning, and if that comes to fruition on Saturday. So on Saturday, I'm expecting we get in there, and I think you guys are going to do a whole lot of... I think you guys are going to think you should be Scooby-Dooing it.
That's what you think?
I think that you guys will think that. This is going to get complicated.
Yeah.
I think you guys will think that. But the more you either don't Scooby-Doo it or think that you should be will both play into my hand.
Okay.
I have contingencies, like every good keeper in this, every good keeper should. But I'm expecting for you guys to be waiting for, like, the creepy things. Just, like, when's the creepy thing? Because I know the creepy thing.
Where's the tentacles?
And I'm planning on doing a whole lot of... You guys will make the story, you guys will be turning the gears of some things, but you guys will have no idea until it's too late. And you can't, like, reverse that gear.
It's like, we just shot the guy who had all the information. But we didn't know that, so we shot him.
There's gonna be it's gonna be a town, so there's gonna be other people doing other things with other priorities, and you guys are gonna be around, and there's gonna be some instances where you guys will be observers, and sometimes you will be taking a little bit more action on some stuff. But my goal is to make, at the end of the day, like, the most important thing for this story to work is for this town to seem viable, but also, like, believable within the universe. Within, maybe not in real life, because there's going to be things that, obviously, that'll happen that can't happen. But, because there will be some spookies.
Yeah.
But, like... I wanted you guys to come away from and be like, you guys can kind of draw a map in your head and kind of know people and feel like you lived in this place. And that's really what I'm going for. I'm hoping that I can build a nice enough set, a nice enough stage for you guys to where the play will just kind of grow out of that. And there's going to be some real crazy characters and that I have no expectation for. I don't know how you're going to deal with some of them. Because some of them are real bizarre.
Yeah.
Some of them are very bizarre. and I'm curious to see what you guys do with that. And that's the fun in it for me, is seeing how, my little mice, they run around my maze, and I get to see how they deal with stuff. But I'm really excited. I'm ready to go. I'm really ready to do. We've been sitting on it. I've been talking about doing Call of Cthulhu since we started the podcast. So it's been like a year in the making now.
Yeah. I'm glad to finally get going. Like you said,
I'm ready for it to happen. I'm ready for it to go. Yeah, I know. You guys, and I think by the end of it, there will probably be some player death. Mm-hmm. So there may be we need to take some breaks and get out a new piece of paper and make a new character. If people get mad, they're more than welcome to leave. But I'm not planning on bullying you guys. But the Lovecraft universe is very it's really harsh, and sometimes
ruthlessness is going to be, like you said, the more ruthless is going to survive.
Yeah, it's going to be a dog eats dog kind of thing. But the problem with dog eats dog in Lovecraft, what that means is sometimes you open up the wrong book and you get to teleport to a different dimension, and then
opened up a tome, and now I see everything.
Yeah, and you got sucked into the chaos plane, or something like that, and that sometimes happens in Call of Cthulhu types of Lovecraftian things. So that may happen to you guys. I don't know. We'll report back later and then come back to it.
For those of you who end up listening to this after the fact, and for our one person still watching.
Yeah.
If you want us to, have another episode like this where we talk about it, we can bring Birdie and James in.
Yeah.
The four of us can have an hour-long thing of maybe talking about how it went.
I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
Even if it's the day of and we're not exhausted, I'd be fine with kind of doing a recap thing. We'll probably be exhausted.
I know James will be
mentally
exhausted.
Yeah. I think what I think I'm going to do for this. I think I'm going to the day that this episode will air, just doing a mini-sode, explaining what's happening, and link them back to this live stream. Because this is our 50th thing, and I'm cool with us kicking back for this episode. So have an episode 49, and then linking to this video, and then chilling out, having a week where I don't have to edit.
Yeah, no.
That'd be nice.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Yeah. I just kind of don't want to have to worry about it. I want to put a lot of energy into Call of Cthulhu.
Oh yeah,
I'm
excited for it. That, and I've had that dread on my mind.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that too.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fun roleplay things here soon. I'm ready to go.
Ready. Yeah.
I'm gonna show you my knife.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, that was it. Thanks people for watching. Everyone that watched this in the future. This is our this will be our 50th episode. So for people who listen in posterity after the fact, thank you for everyone that, even if this is the first thing that you saw, this maybe isn't the best entry place because it was just kind of us talking. But we want to thank everybody. High Level Games, they have supported us since episode 17. And the D&D subreddit, that's where I get all of my questions from. I really couldn't have done my half of the work without the D&D subreddit. So if you're people that we've contacted and you're watching this, thank you so much for I guess you didn't have much of a choice in us using your question, but the friendly people that we meet that want to have a dialogue with us, and then they bring their friends on, which that's the biggest thing, is people that tell other people. We don't have enough of those people. We need, those are the people that keep the show running.
Yeah, one thing that always ceases to amaze me is the fact that I think maybe we've had one person negatively reply to us. Everyone's like, "Oh man, this is awesome! I can't wait to give it a listen."
And it was totally absurd too. They're like, "I'm not gonna download the podcast app just to listen to you guys." And we're like,
and
"We're also
burning."
Yeah, they're like, "Well, we also have
SoundCloud.
Overcast and SoundCloud, and SoundCloud, and we're on this and that, and you can listen right through a browser, highlevelgames.ca." And they were just
they
were such a dick for no reason. I don't know where
the rest of you guys. It's been
literally everyone else. Either they haven't responded, which is fine. It's okay to yell into the silence and not expect anything back. But the majority of people do contact back, and everyone's super cool, and it's exactly what we wanted, and yeah, it's good. If you're watching this all the way to the end, thank you. We always appreciate ratings and reviews, no matter what platform you listen to. On our regular platforms like SoundCloud and Overcast and iTunes or at High Level Games, if you can rate and review us on there or comment on any of those things, and I check all of them. We get alerts anytime those show up, and we try to respond to those as promptly as possible. If that's in an episode, sometimes we'll try and put it in an episode. If not, we'll try and contact you directly. But if you have any questions, comments, stories, if you want to tell us that you're not going to download the podcast app, you can go to our Twitter, at the Hordecast. You can do our email. I forgot the word email. thedragonshordecast@gmail.com. Reddit.
If you dare.
If you dare. That's for the brave at heart. If you want to go to our Reddit page, The Dragon's Hordecast, you can go and do that. I'm going to check right now to see if we have anything else, but I should have gotten an alert if we had. Holy cow. John Cage submitted 2 questions. We'll save those for their own episode. The next episode, those will be the first questions we answer.
He dusted off the cobwebs and he braved that treacherous place.
Yeah. It was like 6 days ago, so... We're right on the money for that. I'll tell him that we'll get those out. John Cage, we got you, baby. Also Patreon.
Hey, you didn't mess up the money this time.
I didn't. I'm gonna quit this now.
Yeah.